streaming live. We should be live on Twitch and YouTube concurrently because I didn't change any settings on the restream beyond the name.
Yes, sup.
Hello.
Welcome to Feedback and Friends, back again, like the Renegade Master. My name is ill-esha. We got Nathaniel Wyvern. We got Rags. We got a full house tonight. And yeah, how you doing, Natty?
I'm doing very well. I am going on holiday soon, so that'll be fun. At least I hope so.
What
Who
about
knows?
you,
With the flight.
Rags? What's new, Rags?
Same old, different day, music and life and everything in between.
Sounds good.
So,
What are we kicking off with tonight? Venomous sound?
You're not the only one. Give people a chance to catch up. There's already another submission in the queue anyway. And we did start a little bit late, so it's gonna be just one of those evenings where we take a chill and ease everyone into it, and I'm sure it'll be fine. So you are gonna be first, Venomous Sound, with Kilo, and you have said in your feedback thing, old track from the last month or so. I have improved since then. Give me feedback anyway, whatever you want to say. So I guess I don't know what I want to say. Let's find out.
Oh, so poetics.
Oops, sorry.
And Ivy official. We got a few old school people in the house. Nice to see you again. Whew. Rags, I think you should go first.
yeah, I have some thoughts. So first thing is, I think it is very unique. I think it is interesting. Um, I will say that I do like projects that have more of an abstract or eclectic kind of sound, but um, this was maybe so much so that first of all, I felt the intro didn't need to be as long as it was because it's kind of building towards a more aggressive variation of kind of what we were already hearing at the beginning. So kind of the dynamic of carrying someone through the journey of that sound felt like it was dragging a bit. Gain staging is definitely needed here as well. I get what you're doing with the 8-bit sounds, and I think that those are cool. But they're so compounded that it sounds like this maybe unintentional barrage of distortion, where I struggle to kind of find entertainment value in that. And trying to hear out the melodies and things like that you're trying to do. It's just a barrage of that deep, crunchy sound. So some more I don't know, mixing is really needed there if you're going to do that. And I would also break that up some too. I wouldn't use that effect on every instrument that you have playing. Give some variety, give some breathing room to some of the sounds that you're utilizing.
Yeah, I agree. I think for me, like with the distortion thing, I also wanted to say that like there's a lot of sort of non-harmonic distortion. I mean, it's all harmonic distortion, but it's like you haven't maybe paid attention to. Like you still in the best distorted atonal stuff, the overtones, the harmonics, there has to be some cohesion to them. And I think it seems like they're not really like tuned or sort of nurtured in the way that they need to be because Rags is right. Like one of the things that I say sometimes is if you want to go dirty, first you got to go clean, meaning like first you got to clean up all the elements in your mix and make sure things aren't out of place before you start throwing distortion on everything because otherwise it just literally amplifies like the small problems with it, right? So I think that's also just what makes it a bit much is like not only is there a lot of distortion coming on, it's sort of out of harmonic with the other distortions on the other things, and then they're just like in the middle, and it makes your ears very tired. So I think meant to be high energy, and instead it makes me like, whew, like I need a moment outside. Like, what do you think, Natty?
Well, I'm going to lean in a bit to some of the conversations I've had with Venomous Sound over on the Discord. He's very into being super nerdy techie. I'm going to suggest that you look into programming parametric EQs because you can get them to operate within a key, not just cutting stuff out, but like targeting a specific frequency range that matches a key. It's probably because I'm not close enough to my mic. Sorry. Oh no. Anyway, so yeah, you can get the parametric EQ
Much
and
better.
put it to a key. Um, I'm sorry. I was trying to avoid my laptop fan getting in the way.
Get a little closer, Nathaniel. Come closer.
And but you can have fun with it. Like right now, the dominant sound in your track is that bass line that's going dun 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 dun. And that goes throughout the entire track, and is part of the reason it feels overly long is because that bit never really changes. And you could still do something with that, even just keeping the rhythm, and then have a key change somewhere along the way to continue ramping up that ominous tension that you've got. You don't think you mixed it at all. Well, I mean, it's a weird when you do atonal sort of crazy stuff like this. The difference between mixing and sound design is a very, very blurry border. And sometimes I think it's not worth trying to say, oh, I'm going to put my mixing hat on now. You know? Don't know if that makes any sense to anybody else.
No, I know what you mean. You shouldn't
Yeah.
you should not wait to do your mixing till the very end. Like I think, especially with this kind of music, mixing is something you do as you go, right? Like you have to clean up that little sound, make it. You obviously you need to tune it with everything else, but you need to make as much space as you can and then keep moving. So that way, at the end, you're not like trying to calibrate off of a bunch of things that are already a little bit off, right? Like you have some clarity. So I know what you mean. I think.
That was kind of what I was going for, yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Nice.
Next up, we have Maysol, who has no specific feedback. Maybe if I turn my gain up a little bit. I'm trying to just get it without ruining the... Did that help? I don't know. Or does that make it worse? Bye, just...
Way too
there
quiet. Yeah.
Hello.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to balance it. There's also traffic still going on outside, which is a pain in the arse. But what can you do on a Friday evening?
That's fair.
Yeah, we have Maysol up next. I wonder if should we add everyone in the Discord server because I haven't done that. I don't know if
I
any of
did.
the people with. All right, that's great. If you've got feedback things, the forum is somewhere. I think I should make Rags a mod on here too.
You posted it. Don't worry. I'll post it
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
We got it.
Um,
We got it.
we
So,
got
any
it. Let's
feedback?
go with no specific feedback. This is Base 3 by Maysol. There's some interesting textures in this one. Are you doing your crochet there, Isha? What are you crocheting?
It's my new thing. It's my new relaxation. It actually it lets me go in the zone. So I'm now combining sort of like sensory experiences, right? Listening with my ears and like moving with my hands. This has some cool elements of it. This kind of reminds me of like other things, but in a good way. Like it reminds me of like a really good groove at like a Sunday afternoon cafe party type of thing. I think what is really getting me a little bit is there's some strange things about the drums as a whole. Like I think there's something about the reverb. Maybe like a couple things could be like you need to EQ your reverb. Maybe you need to cut some of the lows out. Maybe you need to pull your reverb back a little bit compared to the dry. Like I get that you're kind of going for this warehousey sound, but I think that either there's too much reverb or you have like different reverbs or there's something that is unglued about the track a little bit, and usually it kind of comes down to stuff like that. So I would kind of play around with doing like send effects from and other effects on your drum bus as a whole. I do that a lot. I do like some light saturation or like over top of the drum kit so that it pulls it back together, because there's something just strange about your kick and snare and like all of it together, and I cannot. Maybe somebody else has an idea, but to me it was just like it's just getting me a little bit, because a lot of the rest of the parts of the track are really tight, so like it just doesn't quite glue with that stuff. I don't know, Rags, what did you think?
Well, so for me, I'd first start off by saying composition is a big thing for me. That initial groove really caught my interest, but because it didn't change up at all, it kind of got demoted to an irritating loop in my mind. And then later on, automating it or automating the EQ before the drop did nothing for me, because it was more like, oh God, it's finally over, because it took so long to get there and there wasn't necessarily a big payoff. So I'd feel like you want to maybe vastly shorten that intro, possibly make it develop into something more interesting. And then also in terms of payoff, you had some ambient sounds that you eventually introduced. I feel like they were cool, but they should be more out front and maybe even drive the direction of the track from there. Um, just I would say that I liked elements of it, but I think that just if it feels like listening to a loop, I'm kind of mentally checking out at that point. That's not to
It's
say that it's bad. It's just that it feels like unfinished ideas being thrown at the wall.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
think the fact that we're able to talk over it for half the song without it actually feeling like we're missing anything is maybe a sign that does need to be some more work done on the engagement aspect of it all.
It's tricky though, right? Because it's like that whole style. There is a repetition, and there is that aspect to it. But it is you have to be clever, right? You have to do like very long, minimal, but significant changes, right? Like Rag said, that if you are gonna have a long intro, which I know is also a tribute to like old DJ style, like mixing records and like that style of music, then you have to just do more during that. You have to make it like go somewhere and maybe take that out a little bit. So yeah, I agree that arrangement could be really helpful, like just going back in and figuring out. I also struggle with that, by the way. My thing is I will just like jam all the ideas together and be like, this is too spastic, and then I'll cut them out and be like, no, but I missed them, and it takes a while. Like don't feel bad, just play around, just be loose, you know.
I have some nice things to say, like that transition at 120ish. I was just taking the timestamp where you get that down ramping brass segment is really interesting, and I think if you were to sort of repeat that, that I'm gonna go back to classical theory a little bit. In a fugue, you get the same melody and different instruments do the same thing over and over and over again, right? Um, and sometimes you pair them up or you split them up, but they're all doing effectively the same thing over and over again. That moment with the down ramp brass could be a repeating motif throughout the piece, but with your other instruments like those bells, and even the bass line basically every new section could have the same version of that melodic idea, and that's what hails the next, introduces the next section. um the other thing was, you're talking about the mix, Isha. I've been thinking about why it sounds off, and part of it I think is the snare bleeds into the hats, and that's not so helpful in terms of reinforcing the groove, because you need that kick snare. The hats are just flavor, they're not the defining thing that gets your feet moving with the house beat, right? um and a lot of that is because if you eat like it's the hats need to be less, like they need to have a lot of they mid-range of those hats cut out of it. They need to be more airy somehow than they are right now, I think.
Fresh
Yeah,
air, always a good free
really.
plug-in, right?
Hmm.
We
Always
do love our
recommend that
freebies.
one. Hey, shouts out to all the people coming into the chat. We got Ty Melancolin. We got Energy Music Official. Of course, Venomous Sound. We got IV, Old School 2IQ Dog, Voxonitis, Noetics, Cetros Music, Agent 34DE. Get your tracks into the queue. Keep them coming. We are here. Elisha, Nathaniel Wyvern, and Rags reviewing your tracks for the EDMP Discord and OBC TV. What's up next, Natty?
So Noetics is up next, and then after them is Nyx 2000, aka Agent 34. And Noetics is saying this is the first song they've ever finished. Just general feedback about the mix and master. Still a noob in that stuff. We do love people willing to put themselves in the firing line with their first track, but don't worry.
First track,
we're trying.
woo, celebrate.
Oh, sorry, your first noob mistake. You said in a privated track without the private link. This happens a lot. That is seriously not the worst thing in the world. If you could use the form again, like right now, then I can jump across to the last entry and grab the correct link. We'll give you a couple minutes because it happens, and rather than skip you over and come back, we'll do you next. But Rags, tell me, what sort of music have you been working on lately?
Oh man, it's been kind of eclectic to be honest. I kind of taken a different approach. Instead of thinking in genres, thinking in moods and vibes based around whatever I felt like communicating at that time. And so in building around it, it was just kind of whatever felt right in encompassing it. So I guess a more direct answer would be the outcome has been something between a range of like indie all the way to trap. So you've got like some alternative style stuff. You've got some lighter rock. You've got some full blown alternative metal. Um, all kinds of stuff. So really, it's just been a mix of that sort of thing. I think that nowadays I'm kind of making stuff that leans more to truth rather than to general entertainment, if that makes sense. I feel like everybody's doing everything and everybody's kind of copy pasting each other. And I said, what sounds real to me at this point? So I've been kind of leaning in that direction.
Would you
I
say
think
there's
that's
any
the theme.
particular? Sorry, Aisha.
I was just going to say that's the theme of these days, right? Making something real because so much is not.
Right, right.
I was going to ask if there's any particular themes or stories, sort of repeated ideas, sonically or melodically or whatever that you keep going back to right now. Because while you're saying you're not really thinking about style, there surely must be some pattern forming at the moment.
Um, I would say that in terms of recurring themes, I don't know. I would think that if I had to put my finger on a couple, it might be self-sufficiency, trusting oneself in perception, um, being able to recognize the things around you for what they are, but not having to live in and of them. Um, Almost like the idea of being in the world but not of the world. Finding yourself, finding your truth and what truth actually is subjectively to you and not what's been indoctrinated. Um, I think that that's maybe a broad take on it, but things that exist within that realm.
That is so deep. I mean, if I said what I've been doing, it's basically like secretly making dance music again. So from the other, I'm literally like my inspiration is like the car wash inflatable guy. Like I just want to be like in my room, like going like this all day long, and that's my new goal. But that's it's also because I'm just super stressed, right? So I think sometimes music is like a balancer for what's going on rather than an expression, and so I'm just getting stupid in my room by myself.
That is totally something that's needed now as well. I saw something that like hit me deep to my core about the same thing. It was like somebody saying, "When's the last time that you just like screamed and let go?" Societal norms will deem that you know, that's just not something you do. It's the same thing in music, being able to dance, cut loose, be goofy, that sort of stuff. When's the last time somebody danced or felt happy? People don't even dance in venues anymore.
It's crazy. It's so crazy. Just with the fall, and people don't go out and talk to each other. I don't know. I could get Boomer on it
Yeah,
easy.
we
Did
could
we
have a
find?
whole conversation about this one. So we've got the track working now. Thank you, Noetics.
All
So
right,
there's your note,
sweet.
your learning note for next time. Make sure if you're private linking, share the private link because otherwise people can't see it. But they've published it for
First
now, so we're
track.
good. Let's go. This
Woo!
is Comets by Noetics.
Sunset rides with you, along with the crimson news. That's what I want to do. When I see you passing by, my hands go cold. I wonder so didn't need to hold. I'm waiting patiently, counting stars to feel the touch from my place of far. The cold nights can't stop us. Young and free, nothing holding us down. You're shining bright and spotless. So it's time to hit the road. Find a place that's very cold, and not just unforgettable. It's you and me against the world. We comets in the sky. Time just stop. Endless hours we could sit and talk. That's what I want to do. Oh, oh, oh. We could bend the laws of time, like forever and staring eyes. No one can stop us if we're dreaming. But when I see you passing by, my hands go crisp. Sweetie, don't need to hold. I'm waiting patiently, counting stars to feel a sign from my place of far. The cold nights can't stop us. Young and free, nothing holding us down. You're shining bright and spotless. So it's time to hit the road. Find a place that's very cold, and not just unforgettable. It's you and me against the world. We comets in the sky. It's you and me against the world. We comets in the sky. The cold nights can't stop us. Young and free, nothing holding us down. You're shining bright and spotless. You and me against the world. We comets in the sky.
Okay, there should be a little bit more balance now. I've turned everyone up.
That's good. Good. Yeah, 2IQ Dog is saying a bit sterile. That's kind of my reaction too. Is I kind of want to ask who are you? And of course, this is a first track, right? So you probably don't know yet, right? And this is a really good starting point to just say, how can I add something to this that's me? So I would just say, just play around, just put stupid things in there, put an accordion in there, put an harmonica, take it out, put something else in, like just go first track finished. Well, still finishing, like it sounds like a complete arrangement, but it doesn't sound like anything like identifiable as a unique artist. So I again, I don't want to give you critical feedback because like it's first finished track is amazing. It's way better than my first finished track. It's just to say go into full discovery mode, and now that you know that you can make something that's like something you've heard, see if you can make something that is like something you haven't heard.
Why is your first instinct for absolutely stupid accordion, Isha?
I was just trying to think of the weirdest, most unintuitive thing possible, because sometimes that is how you get inspired, right? If this is the same thing, like as a piano player, I actually deliberately will use these like MIDI scrambler revoicing things because I know that my natural inclination for chord progressions is predictable because I'm me and I've been me for like a long amount of years. So, I just sometimes I already know that I'm going to go naturally into a cliche if I don't scramble myself a little bit. And then once you do that, like maybe that accordion is, probably terrible. But then you're like, that kind of sucked, but there was something like plucky that I really liked about it. And then you go and you find something else, and then you've just done something weird. And what do you have against accordion, Nathaniel?
Nothing. It was just that you thought it weird. I was thinking, if you're gonna choose a weird instrument, surely it'd be something like, I don't know, an automaton or a kazoo or bagpipes, maybe.
Bagpipes. Are there any bagpipe EDM artists?
I expect there's probably at least one out
I'd listen to
there.
it.
But yeah.
That's wild to me that this is their first track. I guess the level of talent and the tools available speak volumes in this day and age. I remember my first track sounded like a ice cream truck in the hood of an alternate universe. I have no idea. This is really good for a first track. As far as the accordion comment, I can get on board with that. Maybe for different reason here. I think that the track, while especially great for a first track, it lacks personality. It's very generic, very status quo. And oftentimes, when things are maybe technically good or meet kind of the status quo, they don't stand out at all. It's almost like there's a saying: if you've highlighted everything, you've highlighted nothing. If you played that in a compilation, there would be nothing about your track that says, "Hey, let me go back to whatever that track was." Which one? The one that had the everything that everything else had. But now you asked particularly, if I recall, about um, thoughts on your mix and master. Um, Regarding that, I'd say that you probably need some subtractive EQ across the board on individual instruments and things like that. They could be shaped a bit more. It would be nice to hear a little bit more dynamic contrast between some of the instruments. It sounds like what I'd call relatively clean but flat feeling. So it sounds, if it's supposed to be mastered, it sounds more like pre-mixed to me, but otherwise good. I do think that it could be better as a whole. Again, if you kind of bake some personality into it. Um, I'm wondering about that vocal too. The vocal feels very status quo and maybe even, in my opinion, a little bit too clean. I feel like it's nice to hear a little bit of deviation in the vocals where something sounds unique or nuanced or what have you, rather than being right on the mark. The vocals seem to be very straightforward on the mark throughout the whole thing, and maybe wherever you got the vocals from, if you, I think maybe in the chat you might have said it was a friend of yours. Maybe they're that
Yeah,
great
your friend knows what they're
at what they
doing, like
do,
when parts recording.
but it doesn't. Again, it doesn't stand out. It doesn't stand out in a way that feels like it wants to draw me in further.
I think one of the interesting things is there's no ad libs or anything resembling pacing. It's like each section of their vocal recording is a separate, unique section. That it, Now this is I've been not done any proper studio sessiony stuff in a while for myself, but when I wrote my first album, one of the things that I ended up trying to do was being able to sort of nail the whole track in one go as a vocal take. I still end up using multiple vocal takes, but there is a performance difference in how you deliver a piece as one stretch without any, without relying on cutting versus moving everything around a little bit afterwards by doing it in sections. And when it comes to the AI thing, the risk of having everything feel very sampled is that it does diminish how live the recording is. This is why I was asking, where did you get the sample, like where did you get the vocals from, because it does sound a bit like your friend has experience in doing things like splice loops, just getting these bits that could, like, you could rearrange that vocal line in any order and it would still sort of make sense. But when it comes to building a dynamic arrangement, that's actually a problem because it means they're very flat.
I would low key be salty if you dug deeper and asked him who his friend was, and then he responded Suno.
Well, no, I don't think it definitely doesn't sound AI. It's just it sounds like it was recorded piecemeal. Is the way I feel about it.
Yeah. I think I had a better wording for it where it wasn't so much about the idea of it being good. It was more so that there weren't any identifiable vocal traits that would stand out as unique.
Yeah,
I know we all
interesting.
make fun of the millennial whoop, but at
The
least at the time it was.
Woo! I like what I'm Sick Excited in the chat is saying. I'm going to just read it out loud because I also agree. There's a trend in EDM right now of embracing imperfections and the natural quality of instruments, like the transients of pluck sounds and some detuner stuff. Absolutely. And you know what? Like, I think if you look back even like the history of electronic music, right? A lot of the way that certain genres give you like that feeling is by having these organic elements that are imperfect. Like the whole genre of jungle and drum and bass sprung from using amen breaks, from using live drum loops that were a little bit dirty, that were swung because a human played them. And no matter like underneath the beat, like even if the beat itself, the kick and snare were precise, you had that loose groove, and that is what made it snap, right? So I think, yes, imperfections. Obviously there's the ones that are like painful, like you don't want those super resonant pain spots, like you don't want to do that. But like, yeah, I actually personally, I don't clean up my vocals to this certain point. Like I like to have a little bit of raspiness. I like to sometimes have a little bit of just strange cadences here and there, and just like be a human being. Like it is a trend now because AI just takes all the most common, most safest choices and sucks the life out of them. I was actually talking to somebody in my department at work, which is all about like interaction designers and UX designers, and they all said that the same thing is happening to UX because you put it into an AI and it picks the beige option, right? It picks like the very generic Helvetica font, and it picks like the standard layout, and now everything is starting to look the same. It's the same with music, right? It just reduces down and down and down until everyone is just making the safer and safer common choices. And then you also have the immediate feedback loop of social media, which is poison, because you remember, like, I don't know, maybe you guys don't remember, but I remember a point where you lock yourself away and you make your music and then you drop it on the world. And now you're like, oh, so like someone on Instagram, they said I should do more of this, and like, let me go back in, let me adjust that. And you just become this like Truman Show musician of like just performative evolution that is crowdsourced rather than just being crazy you. Like, let's be us again. We're weird. That's what's
the ongoing problematic marketing trend I've seen is that people won't even finish songs anymore before putting a snippet out on social media, and they'll only finish the songs where the snippet, like the 10-second snippet, is the bit, if it reaches a certain metric, right? Oh, this one got 20,000 views, this one got 5,000, therefore the one that got more views at this particular moment is the one I should finish. But it doesn't make any sense artistically or musically. It just doesn't match whether the song itself, because when you have a snippet of a song, it's a great idea. I mean, I have far too many snippets on my phone, just recordings. I don't know which one's going to turn out to be my masterpiece, my next amazing piece, until I flesh it out. Who cares what social media thinks about that?
Who cares? Who's up next? Who do we got here?
We got Nix200, who is also submitting a first track. There's only a shorty little house track, 1 minute 37. Rally House Stem V6. So give understandable feedback. I will try.
31 seconds, and we're going for auto sequence start.
Oop, it started again for some reason. There we go.
That was super vibey. I enjoyed that for the most part. Um, I think that really the thing that I would say is you gotta break that loop up some. Maybe even throw a bridge in there and have some type of I don't know, a complementary melody or harmony that you introduce. Break up your drum patterns a bit. Um, give people give the bass, take it away, that sort of thing. After a while, it kind of falls into feeling like a loop, but the vibes, the chord selection, that was really cool, and it was definitely nostalgic, reminiscent of a certain time and era. Really did like that. Composition is the big thing here. Arrangement.
Yeah, yeah. And I found personally that there's something unglued about the kick drum from the rest of it. And this is speaking to you as somebody who struggles infinitely with kick and sub. Like it is the tribulation of my life. So I am maybe hypersensitive to it, but I always felt like maybe it's just the wrong kick for the rest of the stuff. Like there's something a little bit more modern about it, and then the other stuff was sort of retro. And like, of course, it's good to have contrast, but you need to glue it somehow. So maybe that looks like having a few more modern elements in the other parts, like little sound effects that are crispier. Maybe that would glue it together more. Or maybe you have a little bit more retro processing on some of your drums. It just felt like a little bit unbalanced. I don't know. What did you hear, Nathaniel?
I think you need to have more fun with those voice samples. Where am I hearing a duplicate of myself? That's really weird.
More fun with the voice samples?
Yeah, it's like I feel like was that a NASA audio halfway through? Sounded like Armstrong or something. But it's like they come in and you play the clip in full, but then it doesn't fit with the groove. So you need to go in and start chopping up your vocal lines. Even though it's spoken word, right? And you're treating it almost like a poetic piece in its own right. There's a cadence to poetry that you can mimic by chopping the sample up in a particular way that matches with your beat.
Yeah, totally. I get what you're saying.
And you can have fun with it. You can start playing with delays and bit crushing and DJ effects like vinyl stops and everything else. And like you can really go ham on the how old school you want it to sound, because a lot of the old tape machines and vinyls, they were really, really, really unreliable, like incredibly so. And that was a big part of the aesthetic, though. You embraced the fact that your machine wouldn't necessarily come in exactly what you expected it to, or it would, because you'd used the tape and played it live 20 times already, the tape was warped and so it didn't sound quite right this time round.
Yeah, plugin that I like. It's not free, but it's not that expensive either. It's just a Waves plugin. Is Kramer Tape Delay. It's kind of an oldie but a goodie. It just gives your track like that kind of unstable, wobbly, dirty tape kind of thing. And like maybe something like that can be interesting. And like my trick, if you're going to use it on something like drums, is to do it on a send, right? I really am a big fan of these parallel effects. Parallel compression is New York style compression. Parallel everything. It just allows you to keep the clean part and then mix in the dirty part. So you could send it to this kind of tape distortion, and then you could EQ that send so that you cut out any of the like super nasty lows. You could just keep a little crackle. So that's a little ill-esha mixing tip for you.
Dropping jewels.
So I'm going to close the queue for a minute. We've got 19 entries now that have been in the queue, and we're up to number 5. So if we have time at the end, we'll reopen it. But we'll see how we get on. I'll figure out where the... Anyway, we're up to 19 for the minute. Where's the
Let's
pub?
go. Let's go.
Yeah, next up is Energy. Oh, Audius, you can do it. It's definitely very loud.
It's really interesting. I think that I feel a little bit maybe stumped about what I actually want to lean into for feedback. Um, I mean, there are certain mixed things that I think that stand out to us as obvious, but um, in terms of how this is created, there's a lot of cool sounds in here, but I'm not sure that this track wants to be what you're pushing it towards. Um, and I think that almost everything particular to the drum and bass almost screams, look at me, I'm within the genre, rather than sitting in the pocket of what's going on with the melody and harmonies. I almost feel like your bass and drums could be more like seasoning for the track as opposed to trying to push it up, up front to just sit in the pocket of whatever genre you're trying to lean into. Um, I don't know. It's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. I think I probably have to give it a second listen.
So, Rags, we're totally in sync because you literally just said the words that were in my mind. I was going to tell you to go on YouTube and look up drummers in the pocket for the same thing, because I think the thing that's going on is you've taken all the elements and you've just put them on like the largest zoom out of the quantized grid. Like they're just like quarter notes, like not even eighth notes sometimes. It's just very like dun 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 bum 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 bum, right?
Mm,
And there are so many cool like spaces and syncopation. There's so much you can do in between those notes. Like I was just talking about this about the last track about how like jungle just existed with that human groove underneath it. And I would say like even if you don't use human drum samples, you can do something like, look, I'm not a good drummer. I can't play that many things at once, but I can play like keyboard drumming. And I always like, even if I'm making super techie stuff, I try to do some kind of human groove somewhere, even if it's a tiny sound effect, even if it's a tiny thing, to just give it a little bit less of like, just like robots on an assembly line. Because right now you got like the
mm,
robots and like the intervals between when they drop things are bare. Like that's the best way I could kind of. So I think that's sort of the same thing you were saying in like a different way. Like it was literally
yeah.
just like, here is a sound, here is another sound, here is another one. I have just dropped them in on that grid. I'm zoomed all the way out. So and then I think I want to just quote some of the good advice from the chat, because a lot of people in the chat said really good things about the bass, how the super stereo upward presence of that bass is sort of causing phase issues. I think another trick, the same trick, but with a bass, I have this Ableton rack that I just have saved that I just put on my bass that frequency splits it. Like it uses this plugin called Gaffle by Clavegran, which is basically just like separating bands without phase problems. And I mean, you can do the same thing if you're using like Serum Effects. It also has this splitter, but then you can put the stereo-ness only on the top or the mid of the bass and not the sub. That's one way to do it. You can also just
Mm,
like split your bass into lows and highs. But yeah, I think, yeah, that would be the best thing to do with that bass is just really make sure that the low part of it is in mono and then the high part of it comes down. And I think another Stir Fry said a lot of samples just kind of thrown in there. So I think everyone is getting the same impression with like slightly different things, that the elements are just kind of like, being thrown on the assembly line. So dance a little bit, have more fun, as Nathaniel said.
Have more fun. I don't think anyone said anything to disagree with there. That's my only final note is the high end on your Reese. Be careful not to make it sound like a mosquito. I think that'd be the easiest way to get people to say I don't want to listen to this again. So be careful with that.
Yeah, let's roll for a little bit. Let's see if we can. There's some new people in the chat. We will reopen it if we manage to get through in a respectable amount of
Yeah,
time.
we'll
which
try
I
our
suppose,
best.
which I suppose, let's keep the vibe going a bit.
This is Funky Recorder by Underground Recorder Garden, who goes by Discord username God for some reason.
I was not expecting that.
I started
not
changing pace.
I was not expecting that at all. And by the way, like it was sick. It's just like if any of you remember the DJ Detweiler Fruit Drop series, it really got me. I used to, and I think everybody in the chat also has good advice this time, where it's really about the resonance. There's an expensive plugin called Soothe that I like for this, but there is a free plugin that you can also kind of hack together with this called TDR Nova, the dynamic EQ. And what you can do is you set it up, just if you've never used a dynamic multi-band EQ before, you set it up, you set the EQ point, and then like a compressor, you set your threshold and all that, and then it will only pull down the EQ when it passes that threshold. So basically this is perfect for different notes, right? Because certain notes on your flute are going to be way more resonant than others. And it's a shame to just do an EQ cut and cut everything all the time just for those moments. So again, Soothe is very expensive, but TDR Nova, I'll put that in the chat. It is free. You can get a paid edition, but it doesn't make that much of a difference. The free version is very good. So I would definitely recommend putting that on the flute. And then, as somebody else said in the chat, there's a lot of Six-Sided said that the reverb is kind of putting it out of place. It doesn't seem like it's in the same space. It seems like you're listening to like a live recording. So I think pulling it a little bit back, doing a little bit of resonance control, and like I've said the same advice so far at every track is like that glue. But what do I mean by glue? A lot of you are new at this. Glue is basically just the elements that you can put across different parts of the track or the channels that can make it sound like it's in the same space and it's part of the same track. Like it's a very classic thing when you're just starting to just be like, oh, I just picked this kick, this snare, this hi-hat. You're just picking all this random stuff off Splice. And at the end, it's literally just a bunch of random samples. Like, how do you make it a drum kit? You do some processing on the master bus, right? You do some stuff that glues it together. So that's what I'm talking about.
For me, this track managed to do something that's extremely rare, I feel like, where there's this thing that happens where, because the track feels so fun or novelty, almost like any sort of technical imperfections are just completely bypassed in my mind. I'm just like visualizing all this stuff while listening to the track. I'm like, bass definitely was played by some 53-year-old dude with a wallet chain. Flute was played by a dude named Mario who watches a lot of Naruto. They had a jam session. Done. Loved it.
I do think thinking of that jam session mindset is actually the way to go with improving this, though. The flute is obviously the most distinct element of the whole thing, and it doesn't always feel like everyone else in the band, even if it's not a real band, is responding to the flute. It feels like they're all just committed to playing their bit and won't deviate in any way, regardless of whether the flute is shredding it or not. Like there are moments where the drums come in, and really you could have a call and response with your drum and your flute. It could be like, and then a flute up, moving up the down I've forgotten the name of that word now. You know what I mean? Like a flute run. It's a run. Yeah, it is a run. Um, the
Arpeggio?
well, yeah, but it's like deliberately going up and down, like your octave rather than arpeggiating between specific notes. Um,
Mm.
but and then the bass as well. It sort of just keeps on doing bass things, but doesn't really. It isn't reacting as if the flute is in the same room. And really, it should be making space for the flute every time the flute needs a little bit of glitter coming in. Like, if you're gonna make everyone pay attention to the flute, your band has to pay attention to it as well.
Oh wow, Jojo played that flute. Sick. I mean, you're really good. You're really, really good.
And that's again why you should lean in. Like, you really should lean in with the rest of your arrangement.
Well said.
Well, my apologies for calling you a dude named Mario. But do you watch a lot of Naruto? Is what I want.
I mean, I didn't see anything wrong with any of those sentences. They sounded like cool cats to me. So,
Oh yeah.
I knew exactly what you meant, Rags.
You know the look. You know the look.
This will be recorded. You can watch it again, but we can send you some notes afterwards if you'd like.
amazing. All right, let's keep cracking. Come on, we got
this
tunes
is
to review.
Vox. Yes, sir. This is Voxonitis Mix AO1, and not really specific feedback. Just curious about reaction to it and general thoughts. Mix is still flat and unfinished, so I'm more concerned about the concept and the composition.
Jeez.
Huh.
Wow. That was the opposite of the cookie cutter. That was like at first I thought something was wrong, and then I thought the stream was cutting out, and then it came back in. Uh, and there was a lot of really, really tight parts to it. But I agree with the chat here, where like something to tie it all together. Like that's often the case. You can get really weird, right? Which you're doing very well. But the key to like making people able to parse us, like mortal humans who are not as on like the wavelength that you are, is to give us something to anchor it, right? Just like a steady kick and snare, or like something that is clean, like something that just gives you something to grab onto while you're being whiplashed around on this crazy glitch ride. Because a lot of the glitch edit were super like tiny and precise and like really satisfying. I really liked it, but I wanted them to be underpinned by like a solid foundation, and I couldn't grab onto it, you know?
I have a suggestion. It's a really out of the field one. I think you need like crowd noises, like club backgroundy things. It feels like we're moving through an industrial club of some sort. Focusing, like, you don't need to necessarily make it a melodic hook or even a rhythmic one. An ambience backbone would probably work with this sort of track. Like, make us actually feel like we're moving through that space. Like, you have a section where you're, okay, we're next to the bar. We're off to the bathroom to snort cocaine or something. Don't do that at home, kids.
Nathaniel. I don't
But you know what I mean? It's got this really gritty cyberpunk
disgusting.
vibe. And it's like, you know, leaning into the fictional storytelling of that edgy, dark, cyberpunky sort of space would really sort of elevate it, I think, you know? See, figure out who your protagonist in this pacing of your piece is and where they're actually going.
Energy has a really good suggestion of listening to the music from Blade. That's kind of what I was thinking of too. Yeah, and it's got like that really steady pulse. Or like some Nine Inch Nails. I know it's oldie, but it's goody. Like, that man knows how to do dirty and weird and still keep you just hooked.
I had no idea where they were originally going. It sounded to me, or it reminded me of Radiohead Idiotech, the very beginning. But from there, I don't know. I think I may just be unfamiliar or out of touch with this side of the genre because to me it sounded like after kind of the loop got going with no backbone, I think was the word that I saw used in the chat. I don't know. It made me feel like I was in a factory that made steel toe stilettos or something, and like the looping and the droning. It's like I don't know how I'm supposed to feel with this, especially if there's no real journey that I'm taking musically or anything to anchor to. I think that was a perfect word.
Yeah. Said by the producer themselves, who also says that they are 55. So matters not. I mean, it sounded actually really like current and really well crafted and well edited. But yeah, I just think, you know, stay weird, but just give us something to grab onto. I don't know, Natty, how did you feel? Did you feel good? Did you feel like it needed something else?
I mean, I don't know if feeling good is necessarily the right emotional response to a piece like this. And as someone who's not, I'm not a crowd and club person, right? So I feel like you need to make me feel more uncomfortable. That's what you should think. Which I know is bizarre advice, but it's like, if you are going to immerse somebody in a space, you are also going to have to deal with the fact that not everyone's going to respond to it exactly the same way.
Yeah, absolutely.
But great work. Like, genuinely, like, so far I haven't heard a single piece tonight that hasn't had some sort of interest to it, you know? So I'm looking forward to hearing what comes next with Cern, aka Ember Kate, there over in the chat. Who do they have specific feedback? Mixing and mastering and general structure. This is Escapism remix. I assume it's their remix of their own thing because there's no specific. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Either we'll get bland or not. Who knows?
Sleazing and teasing, I'm sitting on it. All of my diamonds are dripping on it. I met him at the bar, it was 12 or something. I ordered 2 more wines, cause tonight I want it. I don't wanna feel how my heart is ripping. In fact, I don't wanna feel, so I'll stick to sipping. And I'm out on the town with a simple mission. In my little black dress and the shit is sitting. Just a little context if you care to listen. I find myself in a shit position. The man that I love sat me down last night and he told me that it's over, done decision. I'm with in the back of the taxi, sniffing cocaine. Drunk calls, drunk texts, drunk tears, drunk sex. I was looking for a man who was on the same page. Back to the intro, back to the bar, to the Bentley, to the feel. Help this joint, how I'm blowing this thing. Back to my ways like 2019. 24 hours since my ex did that. What you mean now, mommy? It's about to get sweaty. Give me my symptoms, doctor, I don't wanna feel. Attitude, so numb, I don't feel no ways. Those that, so what? She's far away, go where I feel. I don't wanna feel how I did last night. I don't wanna feel how I did last night.
But how did she feel last night? How did she feel?
We'll never know. We'll never know. That was some really like clean, nice, satisfying bass. And I think like everyone else, I just wanted the drums to crisp out at me just a tiny bit more because your bass is so full and satisfying and maybe is taking up the room. But yeah, I don't know. How are you guys feeling?
Oh, I think okay. So I may have the unpopular opinion with this one, but the music I think is cool. Though I might argue that the vibe and the build up and across the bridge section seems a little disjointed from the drop. That might just be personal opinion. But the other thing that stood out to me was the vibe musically and the vibe of the vocals as well as the lyric content don't seem to match to me, and that kind of distracted me from like really being immersed in the song. It felt like to me like singing a song about "Damn, Mama, I can't believe you're gone" over the beat for the party rock anthem. It was just really, I don't know. There was just kind of a divide there for me. Whereas like in the introduction, it sounded more like this epic emotional buildup, and then in the lyric content, it sounded well. I mean, you heard what it sounded like, but I don't know. It took me out of the element. But both of those things individually, I feel like work well, but together it felt a little disjointed to me.
Yeah, you're right. Well said.
It's a tricky one because I assume the idea likely spawned because of the vocal in the first place. So, I think maybe it's worth going back and asking yourself, okay, what was it really about this vocal line that inspired me to create this idea? Like, what was the real me? It's like you almost got too deep in the process and forgot why you were doing what you were doing. Oop, I have no idea why that's going off. Sorry.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And sometimes it's just, especially when you're producing, like you're just trying to make everything sound super polished, and technical is not meaning. They're almost two distinct things.
Yeah, that is true. Something I feel like balance is the thing you want to achieve. Something can sound good and not necessarily have connective tissue with the listener. Um, but it's something to aim for to try to strike a balance between those two things.
Yeah, and I think like Nathaniel said, if you kind of sort of analyze a little bit like what it is that you liked about it, maybe you can replace it with something that is similar and in the intention, because maybe it's the cadence and the timing of the vocal line itself, or maybe it's like that sort of frequency balance, and you can replace it with like a different kind of lead. But it totally happens, right? I've done that all the time. You do a remix or something, and you get all the way, and you're like, "Hey, this is like a different song." So sometimes it is, and let it be. I mean, to be honest, like the bass work and the other stuff is good enough for me to see it as an original, right? It doesn't feel like if you took the vocal out, it would just be like a weak mashup backing track or something. Like
No, it
actually
wouldn't be
feels like
empty
it
at
does.
all.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
don't fear.
it's really really good. Just some insights.
Yeah. For
So our
sure.
next piece is quite interesting because it's a remix, but it's a familial remix. It's their sister that they're remixing.
Aw.
So that's really cool. This is Go Go Stir Fry remix. Make sure my volume's actually up. Sorry.
Picture blossoms bloom in your eyes. The sun in your sign goes up then dies. I can tell you that I'm okay. We both know I'm lying, babe. You go in mini skirts and tell me I am cute. But I like you, so mean and you can be so rude. You want a pretty girl to call you by your name, but you gotta work, baby. I'm good at this game. I'm about to blow your mind, and you gotta deal with it. I'm about to rip your mind, and you're gonna like it. Baby, let's go, 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 go. You gotta need go, 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 go. Oh, baby, let's go, 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 go. You gotta need go, 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 go. Self-obsessed while you're getting undressed. I can play you like you're my Nintendo. I'm so sick of being sweet for you. I wanna be bitter, baby blue. He's a little got a friend just to help fit his way. But I wanna put you out, and we are not the same. So you don't wanna talk to me, don't wanna stay in touch. The joke's on you, you're about to want me so much. I'm about to blow your mind, and you gotta deal with it. I'm about to rip your mind, and you're gonna like it. Baby, let's go, 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 go. You gotta need go, 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 go. Oh, baby, let's go, 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 go. You gotta need go, 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 go. I'm about to blow your mind. I'm about to rip your mind. You're gonna like it. Baby, let's go, 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 go. You gotta need go, 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 go. Oh, baby, let's go, 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 go. You gotta need go, go,
So that was Go 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 Stir Fry remix. My first thought is that sub bass is not prominent enough. Like I even tried checking my headphones. They have like a bass boost function, which sometimes is hilarious because they shake when you like when it's really cranked. And I still didn't feel any of that sub at all when it was cranked. Like it just wasn't there. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
you guys can confirm.
I would
whether
push
you heard
back
it or not.
a little bit against that. I think that may have been more of a stylistic choice. Um, I do think though that oh man, I'm the wrong person to be giving this advice or this opinion, but I think the vocal should be a little more forward in the mix. um, but beyond that, I think it's a very dope sound. It's very reminiscent. I couldn't put my finger on it, but it was almost reminding me of some elements of like Ned Sky or something like that. I also like the really whimsical vocal style. It reminded me of, I don't know if you guys have heard I think her name was Kinneret or something. She had that song Wind Resistance. What is it? I bet you I can run faster with no wind resistance or something like that. It was popular for a while, but anyway, very. I think it was very cool. I do like that the vocals actually switched up just as much as a melody or what you would expect in the arrangements and that sort of thing. It kind of makes me curious about what the original sounded like to see how much work they actually did between this and the original version. but I definitely liked it.
Yeah, I agree with those comments, like little tweaks and stuff. But I think what I really like is that the vocalist herself, your sister, is has a really unique tone. Like in contrast to like the earlier vocal that was very sort of sterile and stuff. Like that sounds like not only a human, but like an interesting human, like someone with a story to tell. And I really liked like all the little stuff that she does, all the little hi, like those little things. It just gave it so much personality. So yeah, I can see that you could finesse the bass a little bit, and again, there's a little bit of glue stuff. So that's just sort of also known as the last 10 to 15% of mixing, right? Just go in and really like put them in the same space. But I also thought that was a vibe. So
She has a cute stage name as well, Sunshine Scott. Or is that her actual name? Who knows? Well, stir fry. Elaborate on who your sister is.
Yeah,
Let's
we'll have to
move
check
on
into
to
that for sure.
Citros,
Yeah.
who says, I mainly just want thoughts. This is finalized. Well, she's got a lovely name. It sounds actually very pop star. So, you know, maybe she'll go far. Hopefully. This is Forget, original mix by Citros.
I can hardly breathe, and I can hardly see, but I can't forget you. No, I can't forget you. I can hardly breathe, and I can hardly see, but I can't forget you. No, I can't forget you.
this is quite a tasteful piece. There's some really good stuff in there with the way you ease up on the elements. The vocal isn't completely dominating, and I think that is appropriate for this style of track. Isha, is this good crocheting music? I think that should be the benchmark now for house tracks.
Pretty good. I'm making a little cross square thing right now.
So
It's very
I'm
good
seeing
for
in
crocheting.
the Discord, there's a person currently with the username God, and then the respondent to him is Christianity, and now you're saying you're making little crosses, and I'm...
Praise
sending
be. Well, if God is in the chat, I gotta behave.
Sorry, Citros, the distraction for your tune there. Rags, how were you feeling? Were you vibing?
I was. I think. Okay, so with the vocals, there's some, little breathy stuff to address. I believe Six Sided also in the chat made mention about the reverb and the reverb tail on the vocals, and I do think it's maybe a tad bit strong. Now there was one thing that was said that I don't know how much I agree with. They said that the reverb tail made it out of tune. I think I could hear what you're talking about, but I don't think that it was unpleasant. And I would think that actually something like that would even be an opportunity to lean into that with maybe even a subtle underlying stack or harmony. I think that it could be potentially cool, different, whatever. The other thing for me is I feel like the sections without vocals, even if you didn't plan on doing like a full blown like verse or something like that, I think it could benefit from a vocal phrase here or there. If not breaking it up a little bit more instrumentally. But I did enjoy it. It was a nice track.
Yeah,
Maybe
I mean,
it's
I don't have like a lot to say. I think it's just it was good. It was a vibe. It was something that would be like a steady like a floor filler, and it's better than it sounds. Like it's not something that I would remember as like the anthem of the year, but it's like something that I would steadily put in a set as like a bridge track to like really like once the vibe is going, and that is a compliment, because the funny thing is there's anthems where you kind of burn out on them, right? Because they are like very specific and they get annoying. And then there's these ones like bridge builders that I just like, I have tracks like these where I've been playing them for years because they're solid. Like I know it gets something going, and I know that once the energy is a certain place that it keeps it there. So I think you really captured that like consistent energy very well without it being fatiguing to my ears.
There's I saw a TikTok, and occasionally I subject myself to that for some reason. But it was this DJ, and he was just flicking in and out of bits. It was like he was expecting his audience to know what those clips and snippets were from, but he was switching so fast that most of the crowd didn't look like they understood what was going on half the time. And there was one person behind him who I think knew what was in his set. It's likely a friend of some sort, and they were sort of singing along, but they were the only person singing along. You really do need bridge tracks, not just hype moments, to actually get people on board with what you're doing.
Exactly.
So, well done. For anyone watching, the VOD will be recorded and it's on our YouTube. ILBC TV is on YouTube. And so if you do feel like you want to go back over feedback, it will always be there. Next up, since we're trying to sort of get through the queue as fast as possible, we've got Without a Chord. They're looking for anything as feedback. This is Norleet. I'm so sorry, God. We're gonna have to kill you. This is God killing music. It's an interesting piece. That obviously very very video gamey influenced, and folks in the chat are recognizing the sound font sort of vibes with the composition. I do agree that it's a little bit too harsh in some places. If it was to be used in an actual game, to be something you could play on loop, it is a bit much in that regard. But it's very intense in places, and you could go further with that. Like, even that section that just came right near the end with the strings. Like, every iteration, I feel like you should be introducing more strings up and down the octaves, get your voice singing spread out a bit more. And really, like, it's an easy way to really ramp up the tension before you come back in with the distorted stuff.
Yeah, that was I have the same comment as I did with an earlier track with the distortion, like you have to control it a little bit. Like, I know you just want to go crazy, but like you have to control it. You can take away a lot of things that people aren't even hearing that are still taking up space in the mix because you just got so much distortion everywhere. Like, it's a lot. It's quite a lot.
It is fantastic, and other than that advice about control, I think that it's really dialed in. I think that as far as the violin is concerned, the only thing that stood out to me about it was if it were to be included and not maybe its own separate project, I almost feel like it sounded a little too clean in comparison to everything prior to it. Um, I would try to balance that part a little bit better. Because you had people in the chat um, talking about different types of games that it could be relative to, but when that hit, the vibe entirely changed, where it felt more like Final Fantasy than, say, Mega Man or something. So I would maybe give that a second look, but otherwise, I think it was very dope. And hell, even the beginning part, I saw so much potential where you could have spun the track into metal, into trap, even. Really cool vibes. I liked it.
Next up, we have Keep Alive by Short Circuits. Still not sure where that... Going back to my cinematic roots from now on, quantizing the heart monitor beeps. Okay, I guess we'll figure out what the context for that means. Well, I figured out the context of the heart rate monitor thing, but honestly, I feel like that's very gimmicky. Like, it doesn't seem like it actually contributes to the track as such. It's just sort of there in the background and a little bit out of tune with everything else, and you don't really do anything with it that turns it into some sort
Wow,
of
Nathaniel, the guy almost
integral
died, and
piece.
you're giving him this feedback about like the most meaningful. I'm just kidding. I have no idea, but either way, I think it would be less gimmicky if you messed with it, right? If it stopped being a straight up heart monitor and then you actually like tweaked it and turned it into a synth and a riff and stuff.
Yeah, something like that where you can have it play straight the first couple of times because then we understand what it is, and then after that we can go, oh wait, that's that bit, and you've sort of screwed with it enough that it's still musical.
It gave me PTSD from growing up in a black home.
Oh.
Fire
I'm
alarm.
sorry. That's not great, Rags.
Listen, I get stylistically putting it at the beginning. I don't think it needed to be heard throughout the track. It got a bit irritating after a while. I think that other than that, it's cool, but it feels. I felt like the drum and bass was particularly redundant after a certain point. Like the song could have been half as long and still gotten the same point across.
I think that's fair. That seems fair. Especially like it's weird with like cinematic stuff, right? Because in movies nowadays, sequences just don't last that long. Like in an action movie, you get maybe 1:30 per maximum for a sequence before it's already on to the next thing. Like that, everything's so hyperkinetic that you just don't need to compose a huge amount of music if you were to use it in that context.
Yeah. I think also the gimmicky part is amplified by the fact that you're using like some kind of like cymatics rise hit cinematic drop one shot 8 dot wave or something like that. Like when you got the heart on, boom. So, and I say this as somebody who has totally been guilty of throwing those into work here and there, but I think it's also like a balance thing. Like you can have that cheesy moment alongside some more like textured and layered stuff, but if you're doing like a straight heart monitor and then you do cymatics 08, then it's a little bit like a cheese bowl, right? So I think it's something about being more clever with that. Have you ever heard that legendary Mr. Oizo song Flat Beat? Like you probably have, and maybe you don't know it, but look it up. It's just got this little like it's got this weird little lead, and it just over the whole song, it just tweaks and tweaks and tweaks, and it just gets into your ear. And like I would almost just like, if the heart monitor is like the point, then resample it, like do something, turn it into a moving, gliding, weird lead, and then tweak it and just have it just be like really hype as the top lead of your song. And then like for the big impact, get a little bit more creative. Like, you know, there's rise and hit generative plugins, but like also those will give you very similar results like AI will, because they're just formulas. So I don't know, do some weird stuff, play around with household sounds.
I have, speaking of household sounds, I have a recommendation. There's a brilliant site called Freesound, and there's a lot of Creative Commons field recordings of just things and actions and like fireworks and just random stuff, thunderstorms, all of it, like anything you can think of. Someone has recorded out there, made it Creative Commons so that anyone can use it in any way they want, and you can layer that in with your traditional orchestral hits and whatever, and get a completely new texture out of it that you wouldn't get otherwise, and it's still real because it's like this is something that actually someone experienced, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm going to put that in the chat because I want you to go listen to it. I think it will inspire you, the song. So, Mr. Oizo, go listen to some Mr. Oizo. Mr. Oizo got it going on. What's next?
Who is Mr. Oizo?
What? Okay, come on. Pull up the song for a second then. Pull it up. Just go. It's like you've totally heard this song. Everyone in the history of time has heard this song, and you just maybe don't know it. But I think we should all like the funny thing about this song is it should be annoying, but it's not. That's the thing. It should really annoy the hell out of you, and it doesn't. And just skip forward a little bit because it's
Oh yeah, I do know this one. Yeah, you're right.
yeah.
Yeah, I know this one. It's that dip bit in the back you're thinking of, isn't it? Yeah, I do know this.
It keeps going, and somehow it should drive you absolutely nuts, but it is so
No,
much
it's a classic.
fun.
That's a classic track. Like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Go Mr. Wazo on that heart monitor. I swear.
Good recommendation. Yeah, I do know that one. You're right. It's
Yeah.
like on BBC Radio 1 they used to have this late night show, and occasionally there were some good tracks played. Other times they were really boring, but that was one of the ones they definitely played occasionally. It was a good one.
Super. Yeah, it's like it's just been in the background of like everything, but it's great. it's a classic.
Next up we have Starfade. Overall vibe of the song, how likely is it to become popular these days? The song doesn't have a title, so that's not going to help your discoverability.
Final Mix 05.
Sifting through these dusty days, longing for a life. I lost the sun, found the moon in every midnight run, running out of reasons, fading ways to pieces, taking it slower. Maybe I learn, maybe I grow. When I was young, I dreamed of gold. When I was young, I felt so bold. I lived it fast, I let it go. I lived it fast, I let it go. So wake me up when it is done. I need to find a place to run. I'll stay strong, I'll carry on. I'll stay strong, I'll carry on. Waiting for a better day, finding my own way. Finding my own way. The saddle's on the frame, cold wind blowing. Time is a ghost, trying to make the very most. Fear is just a shadow, waiting ways to pieces, taking it slower. Maybe I learn, maybe I grow. When I was young, I dreamed of gold. When I was young, I felt so bold. I lived it fast, I let it go. I lived it fast, I let it go. So wake me up when it is done. I need to find a place to run. I'll stay strong, I'll carry on. I'll stay strong, I'll carry on.
Would this be popular today?
What is there a backstory to this track? Like when they made it, or like
An hour
Is there
ago it's
anything?
uploaded, so at least it's new. But the problem is, well, it's verging so close into just being purely cheesy, right? It's like, we can do this, we will win. There's no explanation of why. What are they doing, and why does it matter, and what are they winning at? You know, like, I think that my best suggestion would be to go and reference games associated with the FIFA video game soundtracks. Because what they do is they don't tend to compose much actual music for those soundtracks, aside from maybe some menu music occasionally. They will just license pop songs that they think match the vibe of the football matches for winning and losing and whatever else. And obviously that's all meant to be very, very uplifting, so they tend to sit in this sort of space. And I think it's just a bit much, you know? Like, it's just constant, like, there's no break between the sections of the vocals. It's just like you're almost trying to brainwash someone. And it means they're not really feeling it, they're being told what to feel.
I'm curious whether these are AI vocals. There's something about them that just
Yeah, it's
sounds
a little bit odd, doesn't it?
like
I
it
don't know.
kind of sounds like nonsense. I just want to be straight up. It's just kind of like it sounds like
Yeah.
what I hear when I hear AI generating lyrics. You know, it's like I will be the bell was a boo boo boo. Like
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
it just and it really it grates me like, and I hear some weird artifacts and everything. It's just yeah, like
And also those holding those notes, and then you hear like whatever that effect is, like it sounds super strange. Or I don't know if it is an effect or if it is, artifacts or what have you, but really odd sounding.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's I don't know. I'm gonna vote AI on that because I always get this feeling, no matter how good it is, of unsettling mind garbage. Like I just sit there being like, this is like nothing. It looks like nothing to me. It's just yeah. It just really, yeah. And I know it's hard to get vocalists, folks. I know it's hard, but that's also why we run this Discord. That's why we have like a place is just to meet people and to get together. And I don't know. I just think that there are so many humans that have such beautiful stories to tell. I would rather hear you like Bob Dylan style, just talking over your track than hear a nothing burger of lyrics.
but
So-
that's it. It's very much, even if it was a real vocalist singing, like, it just doesn't mean anything. It's just words. It's words, not poetry.
Yeah. Let's move on. I need to hear something. I need a brain flush. 'Cause
Well,
there's an
this is Everything is Permitted by Surrealist. And they're looking for feedback on the mix quality and arrangement. Well, that was pretty spicy.
Yeah, it was
Rags,
fun.
Yes,
did
sir.
that wake you up?
It was, it really kind of hit a feeling of nostalgia for me. Um, it sounded like something I would have listened to in like the 2010s ish era, kind of like your what am I thinking here? Cell Dweller, Blue Stolly, I Will
Mm.
Never Be the Same, things like that. Maybe even a little Luna sequence as well. I think it's pretty dope. I think that it maybe I don't know how I would say this. I guess I lost interest towards the end, but maybe from the beginning up way until maybe about three quarters through, I was enjoying it for sure. I think it's a cool vibe. It feels like something that I would expect to see in perhaps a low key trailer, perhaps in an animated piece, animated short or something like that. It's a cool vibe, and I think that honestly, I think that it kind of sits in a neutral place for me where it's not the most exciting thing I ever heard, but it definitely is not good.
Yeah, yeah. I think I know what you mean because I think I heard in the last part like something that happens to me too, where you kind of just like don't know where to go. You've already like dropped all the goods, and now you're kind of like, okay, well, I should probably like add another part or something. But it's just like it's not quite confidently like uplifted. It's sort of just staying on the same level. I'm having that same struggle in a track I'm working on right now actually, and I keep rearranging it and like nothing makes it go in the right direction. So I think you're just at that point too, like you just kind of ran out of sort of confidence as to what to do, and now the end is sort of plodding a little bit. I would just spitballing here. I think because you hit such a good nostalgia note, like it's sort of like anything like fashion, for instance. If you dress like completely in bell bottoms, you just look like you crawled out of the 70s, right? But if you like put in retro flair to like an outfit with infusing your own style and a little bit of modern, then you get like a new fresh look. So I almost think that like
Hmm.
if you're looking for something to do in the last part, it would be to add something that is like fitting with the track but out of place with the time period, because everything else is hitting so on the nose of that time period. So it could almost be like a more modern new lead or like background thing, because you have a ton of good elements already. So I wouldn't like jam stuff in over the other stuff, but maybe just like something crisp. I kept thinking about hi-hats. Like I almost like I heard this really good like kick snare, and then either the hats and stuff were way too down, or there just was a part later on where probably where you were tuning out, where I was like, I kind of just want like a percussive, like a crispy, like a like
Mm.
I just want to feel like, because that would make me feel ascending, because a lot of it is dark and mid and kind of like sitting lower down there. So that would almost be like just adding like a fresh high layer over top of it to bring it out. So
Yeah, it
that's what
needs to
I
open
would
up a
do.
bit more in places because otherwise it just sort of almost. It isn't muddy, but it makes it feel like it is, and that's not always so good for maintaining energy. It's a really tricky balance sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. But cool. I liked it. I had a good time. I had a good time.
Next up, we have American Josh Dude, aka Emerson South. Let's see if I can get this to work without blasting everyone's ears because playing from YouTube. Move my mouse somewhere else. Whoop.
I've been standing in the rain. It's getting cold, but I ain't feel no pain. My baby's at home, warm and dry. Another tease forming in her eye. Ooh, I'm up on my feet when I should be in bed. One more sip, child. I'll be down, standing in the rain, yeah, feeling no pain, get knocked down empty bottles and empty cans. When I should be home being a man's. I know she can do so much better than me. I don't know why she don't let this poor boy be. Yeah. Ooh, I'm up on my feet when I should be in bed. One more slip, child, I'll be dead. Standing in the rain, yeah, feeling no pain. Get knocked down, I'll get back on my feet again. Feeling no pain, feeling no pain. Do it again. Now I got a baby at home. I don't know if I'm gonna see him grown. I hope he lives right and not like I've done. Maybe be just another son of a gun. Yeah. Ooh, I'm up on my feet when I should be in bed. One more sleep, child. Who cares if I die? Feeling no pain. Get knocked down, I'll get back on my feet again. Feeling no pain. Feeling no pain. Feeling no pain.
Who are you? that is, well, it's really, really, really good. Like, honestly, well done. That is very well done. It's very clearly a real person singing. Like, there's so much emotion in there. So fantastic. I can see what sort of the comment about the piano being a little bit out of place in the mix means. I agree. There's a little bit of work needing to be done on the production side if you were to go from a from an A to a triple A kind of production sort of energy to it. But Jesus, like, where do you come from? Like, how did?
Yeah,
I
that
would
was
genuinely like to know as well where he's from. It's
Tell us a bit
American
about
Josh
yourself.
dude.
Like,
Yeah.
what is you see this as a playlist? Chronos completed an album, a 12-track album. Is this your first album? Is this your second? What's the story here? Because I feel like I'm missing a ton of context. He just spawned into our lives fully formed.
Yeah. Well, and he says in the comments that he's wondering if he should stick with the mixer engineer he worked with. I'm a 50-50 on that because I think the mixing, like the sound quality of the elements in the mix, I'm all good with that. I think that they're like, as a producer, maybe, and this is maybe like my unfamiliarity with the role separation, right? Because as a broke young electronic music artist, I was my own producer, mixer, and engineer. So sometimes I'm not sure where the line stops, and maybe this is more in the production and he was just mixing the stems you gave him. If that's the case, yeah, stick with him. He's fine. But it was such a good song that there were a couple of tiny moments that bugged me even more because the rest of it was so good. Like it was so tight and you were so in the pocket. And then there were just a couple of things that are like normal human lives things that generally when I'm producing a track, I just fix them because they're just really tiny, like timing stuff that kind of just distracts. And I'm not talking about groove because groove is awesome. You should never take away groove, but just literally a couple of moments where like, you know, the one thing was just a bit behind the other and the groove was just a bit ahead. And it's just like if you were in a pro studio getting your track produced, they would just do that small correction because it's so small that you don't notice it, except you notice it's tighter. And I only notice it because the rest of your song is so naturally tight that it made those tiny, tiny moments just even more like, hey, but the rest of that was so good. So I would say like the mixer engineer is nothing bad about them, but I would maybe almost work with somebody who can do a little bit more heavy lifting on, you know, I don't know if that counts as mixing or if that's still
Yeah, I think it's more like an arrangement engineer at that point, maybe.
Or just like a producer, right? Like the song producer. I think that's how it, especially in like live music, the roles are different as well, right? But if you are the producer, like I generally think like the arrangement itself was cool and the chord changes are cool and you're clearly like a super skilled musician. It's just about like tiny bits of editing. That's what it is editing, right? And then
can
when you
I
give it to the
mention
mixing
one
engineer.
example?
Yeah.
That full sending. I feel like the full sending, if you just, it's almost ever so slightly too long, just a smidgen too long, that it makes it feel like a real ending. If you pulled that forward half a beat or something, then it would you lose a little bit of momentum there. You know, it's just that sort of thing. I feel like it's a teeny weeny little moments where it's just like, am I 100% nailing this to the absolute best it could possibly be?
Yeah, that was one of the things that I was gonna mention of as well with that at that particular point. I feel like that false ending could have been the actual ending, whereas everything thereafter, I think would be something that you would implement in a, live performance if it's going well. And then someone mentioned something about the piano as well. I think it's fine, and why I immediately asked where he was from is because that particular tonality and how it sits and everything else here super common in like live performances at bars and different venues like that people play at that particular tonality sound and how it sits. So I think to someone that is Southern, they probably would not catch or have the same subjective opinion on that.
Good point. Oh man, you just made me
So-
just have this Southern thing. I miss chicken and waffles. I could go for some chicken and waffles right now.
Yeah, they're not so good at
gosh.
chicken and waffles in Denmark, are they?
No, they are not. Although they would like it. They like really like fatty fried food. So I don't know why. There's a missed opportunity here.
Whoever wants to
Goodness.
open a chicken shop in Isha's town will win her affection forever.
You'll get at least one customer a week.
I'll give you an omelet and a muffin out there.
Amazing. All right, who we got left?
So, next up, we've got Siam. Whip in progress, still need to finish that second drop, but the main idea is there. Hybrid rap, maybe 130 BPM G, new different style drop. second drop.
Are we debating the drop? Sorry, I missed that. Was that the comment
Well,
that we were debating?
That was the he said that the second drop was kind of just half-arsed, sort of, not finished. But I like where you're going with it. I found it quite interesting change of pace.
I'm gonna clown on this for a second, and then seriously, there was a lot I liked about it, but there was also something about it, like there were so many throwback nostalgia, really famous samples that I felt like there was like some guy in a bathrobe that was about to come on screen and be like, samples of the 2000s now on 6-part CD, only $19.99 per month. You'll hear samples such as the hip hop. Then the rave, get wicked, and like it just, there was definitely like a lot of stuff that I recognized, but I liked it because the production was really tight and the drop is sick. That little clangy snare. I am living in Denmark. It is basically like if a country was beige. Like if a country could be the color beige, and I am so.
You're gonna get deported.
I am so itching for a dirty, filthy Wook Forest bass party right now. Like, I would just die to be in like a really, really muddy field where the Rags has been in one of these situations with me, actually. But I would just love to just be dancing to your track in the forest at a Wook rave with like mega dirty humans. Like, and that is a huge compliment because those are the waters that have spawned me, right? That is where I was brought up and where I made my name and danced a lot before retiring to the middle of nowhere. And you made me miss it. You made me really just be like, yes. The thing I would say about the mix itself is that your drum fills are louder than your main drums. That was really catching me off at the beginning. Like your kick and your snare is actually buried compared to these like boom, 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 these big tom fills. So I don't know if it's like just on a different channel and it's just up, but you just need to pull that back because they're really, really juicy. But then they also dwarf your kick and snare, and it's like, aw, poor little baby drums. What do you?
Definitely agree. I don't even think that there's really much more to add. And I think that you worded it very, very cool as far as the sample choices he made. I was like, how do I say that without sounding like I'm hating? Because I like it. Also, I had to definitely notate the phrase "mega dirty humans." I don't think I've ever heard that phrase in life.
I'm gonna give a little bit of a compliment.
Track, for sure.
I'm gonna give a little bit of a compliment to the first drop. Like, I'm not a fan of harsh music. Like, if it's really, really harsh sounding, it annoys me. But you just dialed in that lead sound just right, where it didn't edge out into that annoying frequency territory that I find completely grating and cannot listen to. So it's still edgy and, hybrid trappy, but you did a really good job with that. So I do think that has to be commended. Also, I think it's really important that people do get that right because, like, the clubs here are ridiculously terrible. The sound systems in Aberdeen, there isn't a single one I would say, yep, that's a great sound system. Haven't heard it. And a lot of the problem is they crank the treble as well on top of the sound system being awful. They EQ the treble on a decks like 12 dB up. And it's just so distorted and awful. And the only way any songs survive is if they have that element of them dialed in enough that it's still okay. Like you never want to hear some of the songs they play. It's just like it's always the same songs. Like it's terrible. It's like the worst, most stereotypical British stag and hen night pop music, and it's cranked up with the treble and the bass, and it just sounds.
What you got next, Natty?
We have Clea, aka Fuit9, over in the chat there. This is very different from what I usually make, and I'm struggling to finish it. I usually make high energy electronic music, but I wanted to make something more emotional and cinematic. So let's see what emotional and cinematic. What emotion? That is the question. Are you going to convey anger? Sadness? Oh, the track is not found, but maybe it's another case of it's private and it's you've sent us the wrong link. If I reopen the form, can you try fixing that or making it public briefly? That would work too. because yeah, I cannot play this. Sorry.
Whilst you
Um,
do that, I'm going to be right back here.
okay, we'll give Rags a little break then, and give you a chance to fix it. Cause I know, so I've seen you in the chat there, so I know you're online.
And yeah, big
Okay.
shouts out to everyone in the chat. We got Magnum Pad Thai, we got Starfade Music Energy, Short Circuit, Sharp Objects, Christianity American, Josh, Valksend, Bobby Boy 493, Thawa 20. You guys, it's really nice. I haven't seen some of you before. So we are Feedback and Friends. We are from the EDM Production Discord, also connected to the subreddit. But we're also, as you might notice, airing on ill-BC TV, and that is the International Live Beat channel. It came from a live electronic music competition that we did. It was really, really fun. We used to stream all the time, and now we don't stream as often, but we're really, really glad that you are joining us, because it's really, really inspiring to just hear your music and know that humans are still out there doing things, except for that person with the AI vocals. That was not cool. Don't do that again.
I did leave a clause in the feedback form, so we have terms and conditions. And I did leave a thing which says, where did I put it?
AI will get you roasted, but I honestly,
Yeah.
I would prefer just no. Your voice was definitely not AI, Josh. It was superhuman. We loved it.
Nah, you're fine, Joe.
But like honestly, I think it would be lovely to not do that. I think we should just require that, because we're all spending our human time genuinely listening to that. And like, if you didn't even spend the time to make it, I don't want to spend the time to listen to it. Sorry, that's just straight up. And by the way, for all of you who and whoever, if sorry, I don't like, this is also probably why a lot of the vocals in the song, I didn't have a lot of comments tonight, because a lot of them, they just seem like they were saying very generic things. And maybe that's where the AI comes in, right? Because we all know that AI looks for patterns. I was gonna say, for those of you who don't know me, I've been a music technologist and music producer for many, many years, and I have definitely been involved with technology with LLMs. That is a different thing than AI generating a button pushed song, right? Like this, I'm not a person who's like, oh, AI, don't talk to me, because there is definitely cool tools that are out there, like that will do the boring stuff for you, right? That will scan 15 million samples to find the closest one, and like that kind of stuff is super fun. But I just don't understand why anyone would want to take away the song idea. And I know, like I said, I know it's hard to find vocalists, but I would rather hear no vocals than somebody just be like, I'm in the rain again. These are my lyrics because it's a song. I need to feel like, come on. It's just, it has an emptiness. It's like a vampire. Like you just can't see it in the mirror. Like something is off. Something is off. So don't do that.
Unfortunately, I don't know what's happening with Week 9. They're not responding, and so I'm going to skip ahead to Christianity, who I believe is still, he has been hanging about all night, so we're going to see if their track is working.
Almost forgot that a guy was named that. I was thinking, what did this turn into?
Yeah, we're praise be EDM. We all hail the bass gods. So, let's see, what did you ask for anything specific? Okay, this song is about a spaceship captain's journey home to their family. Okay, so we're going Scientology, not Christianity, we're going Scientology here. I'm looking for structured creative feedback rather than mixing technique. I plan to add on more transitions and short speech samples during the breakdown when I record them. Let's go. Oh, it's a long one.
Oh, respect.
And
I'm not a
breathe.
trans person, but I did feel slightly religious, so your name checks out. I did have that like euphoric interlude feeling, and there was a point when it started where it just was like a very wall of sound, and I was gonna already for the feedback of like make more space, and then you made more space and you went in and out and got really dynamic about it. So I saw in the chat that you're gonna add still some more with some spoken vocals and a little bit. I think that will like fill out the little details and stuff. But I think that musically, I'm really impressed with like how many new parts and textures you introduced that still sounded cohesive and not distracting. And like, I kept thinking like, okay, so nothing new is going to happen now. And then something that would happen was new, but it wasn't jarring, which is also a really tricky balance to do. So well done on that.
The beginning of it reminded me a little bit of like the Chippendales theme, but it did end up turning into something a lot cooler. In terms of the storyline that you provided, I think it definitely did give that spacey Final Frontier kind of vibe. I wasn't the biggest fan of how long the buildup was, but in a way, I almost felt like it may have been necessary for where you were going to go with it. Though that drop did feel a tad bit abrasive, but overall, I think it was a good track. Maybe not something that lives on a playlist, but I definitely do think it sounds primed to live on an OST for something.
I think the intro, the first bit before we have that breakdown and build back up again, is the worst bit of the entire song, like in a detrimental way to everything else. So it's just something about it where it just doesn't quite gel for me. And I think the big problem is it doesn't really have a distinct melodic identity. That there are 3 or 4 different parts that all seem to be competing with each other to be your main lead sound. And the bells, at least at that point, are not playing the most interesting melody, but they're the most prominent bit of it. I feel like you'd honestly be better off just cutting that entire section out and starting from where you have that breakdown and build up. That's a more interesting section to begin setting the tone and pace for your track. Personally. Now, comments. This is not one of these things where what we say is gospel. If anyone in the comments completely disagrees with me, please speak up, because it's just my personal feelings on this. And this isn't the type of show where like, we are the only ones that know what's right.
Well,
It's
I'll,
not?
I'll cut back a little bit. When you mentioned cutting the intro, I think that if you do that, there has to be some sort of compromise, because just starting out from that build up section, there I don't think there would be anything to actually hook your attention if not for what took place in the beginning. Do I think what took place in the beginning, the intro, do I think it was the strongest thing ever? No. But there was enough of a hook to see, okay, where is this going, as opposed to listening to straight sound design for as long
Mm,
as that carried on without any reason to invest already established.
mm. Also an interesting take. Yeah. Did we get
And
more in the queue?
we have another entry in the queue. This is another person we haven't heard yet. We are prioritizing folks we haven't heard yet tonight. This is Thowa. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. The title describes the feeling of joy from fond memories combined with a slight sadness as moments are gone. Hoping for sincere feedback. This is Natsukashi by Thowa.
This, wow, okay. First of all, this is so close to something that I would just love and listen to over and over again for the rest of my life that I want to give you a ton of feedback because I want you to make it perfect, okay? So, like, this is a like dream. This is so beautiful and it has so much tension and it really floats. I think really clearing space for your drums to crisply punch through that beautiful wall of ambience and texture. And it doesn't even have to be abrasive like the way that you sidechain trap. I would say transparently, right? I don't want to like notice the dip, but I want the drums to pop up because they're struggling underneath this beautiful wall of sound that you've made. And like, it's just such a shame because like I want to roll to them and I feel everything else. And then it's like they're suffocating. And some of that can be like, again, some stuff I've said earlier, EQing your reverbs. EQing stuff that you don't even think has low end in it, like hi-hats, but sometimes it does, and it's just sitting down there. And I think like just giving it a little bit more love for the drums around all the beautiful stuff you have. And then the second thing is you did something that I do a lot. Like I was almost like, are you me? Which is this, you go into the first drop and you're trying to be like artful and complex. And so you make like a more interesting beat. But the funny thing is like you're second guessing yourself because your ambience and your melodics are so freaking interesting anyway that you don't need the complexity of that beat on the drop, and it actually weakens and distracts you from it, right? So like later on you put this more straight beat in that I was going to suggest. But I would say like if you really are attached to the beat in the beginning, which is sort of like a little bit like a broken, like the snare wasn't on the 2 and the 4, right? It was kind of like a doon. If you want that, put it later and put the straight one right off the bat, because you really remind me of one of my favorite artists, Fela. And this was such a Fela thing. Oh my God, just absolutely sublime, right? So in order to do the Fela thing, it's all about don't touch most of what you're doing, like other like arrangement wise. But when you drop, just do a really straight kick and snare and hi-hat. And it's counterintuitive because you've done all this really great stuff with your melody. But I swear, just to make it float, it needs to be like a like uber simple, because you have such a great like swagger and glitch, and then you can just transparently let that just float, and then it'll just like that's a like sway back and forth hypnotic beautiful treasure of a song. Because I adored like every second of that arrangement, and it annoyed me even more that like, these tiny things, because it's so close. So much love. And now I will let somebody else talk, but I really loved that.
Well, I only had one word. Control. Just getting control of what you've got. That's what needs to be done to really pull this off. Because it is really good. I completely agree. It's just control. That is the key word to go back in and say, what am I losing control of in my beautiful arrangement, in my mix down, and where it's positioned, and how they're actually moving around each other. Rags.
Yeah, I think that really everything that could be said has likely been said at this point. It is great. It does a great job in creating ambience, but also almost you can almost like visualize different landscapes and things. I think it also had excellent use of like Foley. The only things that really stood out to me kind of were where certain things were buried that I wanted to hear come out more, uh, whether they could come out more in just the EQ, or if there were other things like maybe the reverb was a tad strong in some places, things like that. It really, I think, comes down to more technical nuance than anything else. The track otherwise, fantastic, fantastic.
Next
Super
up, we have
beautiful.
Synthrax, who has also been waiting all night. Okay, let's go to Patrick there in the chat. Thank you for your submission. It's one of my better tracks. I want to know if it's catchy and something that you could see play at a club or event. Also, some info mix or anything else you can think of. Let's see if your link works. It should do. This is Flight, Just to Wake Up. that's that Isha. You're being very savage in the chat now as well.
I just, my God, like, what are we in kindergarten? Like, I have a dog. He has a frog. He sits on a log. He lives in the bog. This is like
I'm gonna
the level.
blame Taylor Swift. Let's bring all the Swifties down to us. Right, when she rhymed car with bar like 5 times.
I feel like the issue is like when the lyrics feel like there's no substance and almost as if they're only presence out of a feeling of obligation.
Yeah, it just doesn't elevate this piece. And there's also another couple of moments I would be very careful about, see if we can get a timestamp. You introduce sort of trancey synth around 39 seconds in, but it's syncopated in a way that really doesn't help. Like, it sort of stalls the momentum of anything you would build up at that point for me. I like, it's just... Yeah, it like between that and the vocals, like I would have another look over what is the focal point of this track, because it feels very blurry and vague at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's got a very commercial feel, but like in a non-memorable way. Like I said, this is almost like the first track we listened to, where it's like it fulfills a lot of predictable things that it should, but at the same time it doesn't. Like that's why I was like asking if it was AI, because I was like, I didn't feel a human touch as much to it. And maybe that is just because you've made the vocals the center, which is kind of a natural thing to do. But the vocals, like I still like, maybe they're AI vocals from Splice. Or maybe they're just somebody offloading their B material, which is also something that happens. But I gotta say, I'm gonna sound like really arrogant here, but I think I understand why my vocal pack is still making me money after 6 or 7 years. Like I'm not saying I'm making big money, but I'm still making like a couple grand a year after like 6 or 7 years of it being out, which is pretty something for a sample pack. But fuck, like. I cannot hear these people. People don't read. People don't. Weird. I don't like this timeline.
I don't know. Like obviously, all three of us are people who love writing songs, like in terms of lyrics and thematics and everything. So, in many ways, we are incredibly biased to the sort of thing we want out of lyrics. But I part of the reason I don't put out vocal tracks that often is because I'm so freaking picky about the what am I getting across here thing. And when you come across EDM-y tracks that just say absolutely nothing, I just...
And the thing is, it doesn't mean you have to be like so deep and write like complicated words and mouthy. And like, in fact, I teach songwriting occasionally, and I steer away people from that end too. Like those are two extremes, right? But you can still be clever. You can have a punchline. You can do a little bit of wordplay, and you can still make it simple. Those things are not mutually exclusive. Like,
and even
there's
just
so
choosing
many
more
ways.
Interesting words, like singular interesting words, can be potent in their own right.
Yeah,
that would definitely be powerful. Don't copy paste the voice with the simplest thing that you can muster.
it's like maybe you can use AI to like feed it into and be like, hey, AI, can you make these lyrics like more interesting? Like
Chat GPT, help me with my words. Me no England.
No, but I mean, I gotta say, like everyone in this room, I've heard some really great, interesting lyrics from. Especially, I mean, Rags, you are such a fun like storyteller, and you really go into like that's one way to be original, right? Is like tell quirky stories. Like don't always do the same situation of like I'm in pain because somebody messed with me. The end, right? You could just be like I'm in a Halloween pumpkin and I'm gonna walk around with a like it could be weird, like, but you could do that. Or you can use different words and jokes. Like everybody has their own angle for interesting. Like and it doesn't. You don't have to be the biggest, most eloquent vocabulary holder of the year. You just have to just sometimes find a different way than the obvious. Like that's so important.
I personally like pop music. Like I listen to a lot of pop music, and there are a few people I would recommend looking into that. Even if you have to sort of rearrange a vocal sample from Splice or whatever to say something new, like you can still take inspiration from people in that space. M Naught has some interesting stuff going on in her catalog. Charlie XCX's last album, Brat, was actually, there's some interesting stuff in there. The remix of Apple is really good, even though it's actually not that complicated. It's capturing this sort of avoidant anxiety. That's kind of the vibe of the track. It's like, I've got into a fight, I'm just going to leave and go to the airport, but I'm not going to go on an actual flight, I just need to sit here and breathe. That's the story of the song. And it's not complicated, but it's real. Or Sympathy as a Knife, which for some reason people took as a diss track for some reason, even though it's not, it's actually reflective. But, it's why is it I feel like I need to compete with all the other girls around me? That's the story of the song. And the words that she chooses aren't particularly complicated. But it's, again, a very, very real emotion that you can really tap into there, So, pop music can be fun and interesting. You don't have to compromise and make it generic.
Especially now. Now is not the time to come out of the gates generic. Like, if you really just want to make sure that you get never noticed amongst the flood of AI spam-generated bot horrendous timeline that we live in, being generic is a great way to do it. Like, I think people were talking in the chat earlier about imperfections being trendy, and imperfection is such a loose term because, like, I talked about this before, but I have this clavichord. Most people have never seen one, including me, until I came across one, and I'm playing it, and I'm playing it wrong on purpose. I'm playing it like a harp, and if you don't know what it is, if you know what a harpsichord is, it's kind of similar, but it's smaller and quieter and weirder and more synthy and has very capable of strange textures because it's a piano, but you play it kind of like a guitar and you can like bend the strings. So I started like just raking on it like a harp across the strings and like recording it with a figure 8 mic. And these two things, they did the weirdest stuff. Like for one, you got a lot of like finger noise and scraping and weird resonance points. And then for two, because it was figure 8, you also got a lot of the like side, like room and body noises. And these are things that maybe in the past I would have tried to scrub out or RX or do a lot of stuff. And now I'm just like, that's a really cool edge. Like, and I think that kind of like when you see remember when we all like did the super filters with Instagram and then everybody was like, screw this, and just went on TikTok and just started making like bathroom selfies. Like, it's kind of like that with music now. I think people are really sick of the super filtered duck face of music and they just want the bathroom selfie music. They just want this is like the time for punk to kind of come out again. Like, I think it's going to be
raw and expressive is
We
what
need a punk
feels
comeback
more
for
real
sure.
now.
Yeah, I'd be really interested. Oh man, I feel like it's weird because you're on the stream, but when I haven't heard a Rags track on a stream, it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, that's fair. But you know what? I am switching roles for the day, so it is all gravy.
It is all good.
We
Oh,
love
thank
having
so
you on.
much.
And to anyone who's still watching, and hopefully if you've been tuning in since the start, you'll see how we function. You could be a guest on Feedback and Friends. Like, we're not here to say you must be the most experienced and come from some Grammy award-winning background or whatever. What we all do is we love music, and we just want to share that love of music with our own little community. So let me know if you want to come on
You
as
want
a
to be
guest
careful
on
with
camera.
that, Daddy. You definitely want to be careful with that. I instantly thought of this other live stream that I watched, and they were doing a similar format with music review. The guy's literal only response to anything is, "Yeah, that's cool." That's it.
Nice.
Well, maybe
I
this
like
could be
it.
our thing. This has been Feedback and Friends on ill-BC TV. It's been cool.
It's been that's cool. That's hard. It's hard. Thank you all for joining us.
Have a
And we
great
wish you-
evening. Good.
And good night.